Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Oakland. This is now episode number 2. Hopefully, you saw episode 1, but if not, welcome. Glad to have you. We're going to start off today speaking with the person who did our cooking segment for this episode, who is our OCC vice chair and our newsletter committee chairwoman. So if you enjoy the Oakland newsletter, and if you don't get the Oakland newsletter, you should sign up. But if you like the Oakland newsletter, then this is the person that's behind doing all the newsletter stuff. So I want to come on over, swing on by, and welcome our newsletter committee woman, Liz Lorenti. How are you, Liz?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. This is an interesting setup because I'm not really used to using video conferencing, and I mean, I'm not technologically proficient, but it's just I don't know. I'm more of an in-person meeting kind of guy.
Yeah, no, I know, but we're all in Zoom land these days, so
Zoom,
yeah,
Skype, GoToMeeting, and all of them. So it's kind of
right.
crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's forced us to be innovative.
exactly. So obviously, I know Andrea last week submitted a cooking segment that was about how to make pumpkin pancakes. This week, I know you're submitting a cooking segment of your own, so I was hoping you can kind of give us a little tease because it's going to be a little bit later in the program. So if you can give us a little tease and kind of tell us what you're cooking, why you decided to make it, and maybe if you have any like family history behind what you decided to make.
Yeah. Well, what I made is sweet and sour Cuban picadillo. And basically what it is, it's ground beef cooked in a Cuban style, which is putting, some like garlic and onion and green pepper. And really it's, one of those dishes that you can be very creative with. And the sweet and sour is my own little twist on it, just because I have a sweet tooth. I really do. And so any chance to just give a little sweet twist to food, that's it. I'm in. And then why did I pick this? Because ground beef, I thought what's easy to make and what's hard to ruin. And basically ground beef. Ground beef is very easy and you could still find it, in the supermarket. And if you get a pound of it, you can make it and use it in all kinds of ways. You could use it for spaghetti. You could use it over rice. You could use it to make tacos. You could make a stuffed green pepper. Everything. So I'm showing you how to make this base, and it's very common in Cuban households, and it's one of those rare dishes that adults and children love. Now, not all kids like green pepper and onions, obviously, so you could always kind of separate those out when they're not looking, and then give them the rest. But and it's just easy. It's just easy to make, and I find that these days, whether you're a parent at home trying to work and homeschool your kids, and you don't have all this time that everybody always talks about now in quarantine. Oh, got all this time. And the people I know who have little kids say, what are you kidding? Or whether like me, you're fortunate enough to still be working, and you can't cook during the day and you only have at night, and maybe you're tired, or what, you can always do this on a Sunday and make a good batch for the week, and then vary the dish how you serve it, during the week. But it's very simple ingredients, because I know I look at recipes and sometimes I think, what? I don't even know how to pronounce this. So, and especially nowadays when going to the supermarket is like this big
to do.
mission. I don't want to send anyone out on this, quest for these exotic ingredients. So these are things that are easy. You don't even have to use all of them, and the dish will still come out wonderful. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of brought up a few points, so I gotta unfortunately keep the interview short, but I do want to bring up kind of two things that you mentioned there in your first response. So I guess the first thing is, a lot of people are at home, kind of like what you mentioned. We're making do with what we have. Going to the grocery store is this big hullabaloo to do. And if you happen to be watching this not during quarantine, maybe a year from now, if we decide to replay this, you're only allowed 50% of the store capacity. Everyone has to wear some type of face covering. When you go down the aisles, there's arrows, so you can only go down, this aisle this way and this aisle this way. So it's like a really big hassle to do experience. I think you said, mission just to go grocery shopping. So I think that, so a lot of people, I think, on one hand, they're making do with what they can. On the other hand, they're kind of thinking like, man, I want to make like, the nicest, best dinner that I can. And I don't know, it kind of just might stink. So I kind of want to ask, from your experience, 'cause I know you've also been forced to work from home. I know you work in the city and you've had to work from home too. What kind of encouragement do you have for people who, are at home, they're cooking with what they have, and kind of what you mentioned, they do have to please, their husband, their wife, their significant other, their children, maybe their mother or grandparents or someone's with them. How do you kind of give them encouragement to make the best food that they can with what they got?
Yeah, well, with this as an example, ground beef, you could, like I said, if you have someone in your house, say, who's on a diet, you know, you can go ahead and just have this. You can have it by itself. You can have it with vegetables. You can have a stuffed green pepper, and put this mixture in it and not put the rice in there if you want. Um, in this particular recipe, I use duck sauce, sweet and sour sauce. And if, say, you're diabetic, well, just keep that out, eliminate that, um, and put in the other ingredients, and it'll taste wonderful. Or what you can do, for example, my husband does not like vegetables. And he doesn't like, green peppers or onions, or he says he likes onions, but onions don't like him,
Mm.
because he's got, digestive issues, which a lot of people have. And so what I do is say, I'll buy maybe 2 pounds of ground beef or even a pound and a half, and then I'll split it in half. And then one half of it, I'll put, vegetables in there. And the other half I'll make for Michael without the vegetables.
Mhm.
So that's another thing you can do also with kids, who generally recoil when they see something green, And so if they say, no, mommy, I see something green in there, well, okay, then make part of it without, the green peppers or the onions, or just like I said, just leave them out. Um, and you can have tacos. Let's say if somebody in your house likes tacos or burritos, well, here's something that you can serve, and then you can have pasta for whoever wants to have it as a meat mixture with the pasta. And whoever would rather have taco, well, just put it as a taco filling with maybe some shredded cheese. It's just the kind of thing where everybody, if you can sit down together, everybody can enjoy this centerpiece of, the meat dish, and then individualize or customize. And like I said, it's very easy. It's not something that you have to watch or be worried that it's going to come out tough. I don't often make like steaks, and so whenever I am going to make one, I'm just like terrified about, is it going to be like, a boulder? I mean, as soft as that, or is it going to be like just fall off the bone? But
Mhm.
this isn't it. It's just one of those easy things that you can be sure is going to come out good. and you have control. And like I said, it's so easy to customize. That you can do without one ingredient if you don't like it, if you don't have it, and it'll still come out good. And I just find that also cooking is just very create. You can be creative. It's therapeutic. It's a way to, well, even now, like if you're on a budget, let's say you lost your job, or your hours got scaled back, you can make this stretch, this kind of meal, you can make it stretch. And you can learn, to, if you're interested in learning some basic tools about cooking, this is a time to do it. This is a time to learn things that you've always wanted to learn. And it'll also save you money. I know that on the one hand, we do want to support businesses, but not everybody may be in a position to do that because they've lost their jobs, or they think they're going to lose their job and they want to save. Well, the more you cook at home, the less you're spending out, eating. So it's a win-win situation. Plus, you know what you're putting in your food, and it's healthier. Like if you have dietary concerns, you have more control over what you're eating.
Exactly. So, and you bring up a good point. It's a very stressful time for a lot of people, and that kind of gets into my last question that I have for you, which is, especially when we're going through, tragedies or hard times. I mean, even when you lose a family member, whether it's because of the coronavirus or just old age or something else happens, we as humans have those foods that we just like to go to that are our comfort foods. So we have those foods where it's, you just need like a pick me up or just something that's nice, warm, and filling, and every family has something different. I mean, there's those classic American comfort foods, but every single different culture has its own type of comfort food. So I guess my question is, I know you have a very interesting background. Is this dish something that would be a type of comfort food?
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that has his personal history for you. Like it's nostalgic, because my mom used to make picadillo, not the sweet and sour. That's my sort of
Your
taking it
spin
to a
on it.
new direction. Yeah, yeah, and but she did. I mean, she made picadillo. It's a go-to in Cuban homes, and then when people who aren't Cuban, when they'd come over, like my son's friends in Ridgewood, when I lived in Ridgewood, uh, would come over. They would loved it. They loved it, and so it's just something that's just very. It's not exotic. It's I mean, common in Cuban homes, but it's not. It's just it's got very familiar flavors, and it's a familiar food. It's ground beef, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and by the way, I find that red that red beef is more flavorful as far as picadillo, but also sometimes if you, for example, again, are told maybe by your doctor or whatever, not to cut down on red meat, and you'd rather have ground turkey breast, or you'd rather have ground chicken breast, you can do that with this. So instead of the ground beef, you can use ground turkey breast, which I often do, ground chicken breast. Again, uh, the red meat, the red beef is more flavorful, but you can enjoy these other meats if you want a more lean meat and you don't want the red meat. You can do that too, and you can also one week do one, maybe another time do another, just to mix it up.
Mhm.
Because I try to do that too. I try to mix things up, mix my diet up every week to keep it interesting. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for sharing that information with us and sharing your recipe with us too. We're gonna get actually to that a little bit later in the program. Coming up, actually, we have a very helpful video from Mike Guadino, who is the recreation director, and he deals a lot with chiropractic and things like that, and sanitary measures and whatnot. So he's actually going to give us a quick little look in terms of how to properly just take off a mask and take off gloves. And then we have another segment where we're actually going to inform you and help you out in terms of actually if you want to make a mask at home. But stay tuned. We'll have all of that, and we are going to get to Liz's recipe, so you can have something different to try out at home. So thank you so much, Liz, for submitting that to us and for having this time right now on video conferencing.
Well, thank you. Stay safe, Ryan, and everyone. Just stay safe, and to the extent that you can, try to make the best of this time. Stay inside. Just reconnect with friends. Try new things. Learn new things. Read that book you've always said you would read if you had more time.
All right. Thank you, Liz. And now here's Mike.
Hi, Dr. Guardino here. A great question I'm commonly asked is how we take off the gloves and mask once we've used them. Once you put them on, assume they're contaminated. So to take them off is you take the first glove, pull it from the outside, and as you take it off, turn it inside out and discard it in the garbage. You take the second glove, put your finger underneath, not to touch the outside of the glove, turn it inside out, and discard it again in the garbage. When taking the mask off, do not touch the front of the mask. From the ear, grab from behind, pull it off, and dispose it in the garbage. And then when you're done, you go and wash your hands and your face really well. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Marisol Kozlowski. I'm a local Oakland mom and one of the many people out there making lots and lots of masks for donation. So I'm here today to talk to you about how to make a mask with minimal effort at what you have at home, using what you have at home, and very minimal sewing. So first of all, what do we want to make our masks from? We need to remember that these masks are a barrier, okay? We don't want to absorb virus, we want to block virus, okay? So the best fabric so far that we've been hearing about is using 100% quilter's cotton, okay? A quilter's cotton is a woven cotton, and it is also woven very, very densely and thick, creating a very good barrier. It can be 100% cotton or cotton polyester blend. Either way, you're going to be blocking virus entry or exit very, very easily. This is what a quilter's cotton would look like, and they have all kinds of different prints or solids available, okay? But we really want you to shop what you've got at home. So let's hit those donation bags, and where can we find a woven cotton? This, for example, is the remnants of a pillowcase that was donated to me. And this pillowcase has already made more than 20 masks. Yay, just from the pillowcase. If you happen to have a full sheet set and have a fitted sheet, you can even harvest the elastic from that fitted sheet, because right now that's one of the hardest things to find when it comes to mask making. Another place you can find woven cotton is, think of your men's dress shirts, okay? Nice woven cotton poly blend on this one, okay? It's relatively thick. You can't really see through it, right? The more dense it is, the better quality it is. Also, girls' Easter dresses, not seersucker, but your cotton wovens, okay? So look there for that. If you're really, really stuck and can't find anything anywhere in your house that you're willing to give up or chop up to make up some masks, you can always go to our local Joann stores. This is not an advertisement or a commercial for them. However, they are giving away free do-it-yourself mask making kits for donation. Each kit will make 5 masks, all of the materials to make 5 masks in it. So keep 2 or 3 for your family, donate the other 2 or 3, and it's a win-win for everyone. Each of their kits will include a pre-cut set of 10 6x9 rectangles, okay? So you don't even need fabric scissors. 6x9 rectangles, all right? And you have a front and a back. It also includes, and this is very rare to find right now, pre-cut 10 strips of 6.5 to 7 inch, 1/4 inch elastic. This is going to be for your ear ties, all right? So that's also a very good find for free from Joann's. The last element they include is a full spool of thread, all right? So with a simple needle, you'll be able to do the mask that we're going to be making today. You know how to sew on a button? You'll be good. So thread, elastic, fabric, all included in those kits. So that is always a good alternative. Okay, so how do we make a DIY mask at home? If you can sew, there are many patterns available currently online. You'll see things like the Olsen pattern, the rectangular pleated pattern. There's a lot of discussion groups that have started up for sizing and so on. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to be making some advanced videos for others who do that. But today we're trying to do things that are simple. So if you see a pattern like this with a curve in it that is asking you to do curved fabrics and seams, not what we're doing today, okay? Those masks end up looking like this, okay, with the ear bands on them, and they are very good for going over an N95 protector, okay, or being something more fitted around the face. This one happens to have the elastic, a fatter elastic, that will not work around the ears. If what you have at home is a fatter elastic, anything bigger than 1/4 inch, I would recommend, like this one, to go around the head, okay, as opposed to around the ears. It's a little bit more comfortable that way. Today we're working on rectangular masks. So we're going to use our lovely pre-cuts from Joann's. And what you are going to need at home are 3 things. You are going to need 4 things. You're going to need a fabric adhesive. Fabric glue is fine. Quilter's basting glue is fine, as long as it is a permanent fabric adhesive. My favorite, and you can order this online, and again, this is not a commercial, but it is one of my favorite things on the planet, is Peel and Stick Fabric Fuse double-sided tape. You cannot get easier than this. If you want to hem jeans, this is fantastic. It literally is put the tape down, peel it off, stick it down, you are done. So this is going to be the secret product of today. Okay, and on top of that, you're going to need a needle and thread because you are going to have to be doing a little bit of sewing, nothing above the level of a simple base stitch or a simple sewing on of a button. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our fabric, and I'm using the one with a print because this way you can tell which is the top. It does make a difference. Okay, so we have the top of our fabric, that's the front, this is the back. We want pattern inside out, it just makes it a little easier. Okay, and there's the top of my fabric. What I have done is I've also taken a nice pair of scissors called a pinching shear. They have a waggly kind of edge to them, kind of a wave edge. This is not a scrapbooking decorative. This is actually a fabric scissor. I've just run that along the top because it'll keep my cotton from fraying. You can see here it's fraying. When you cut it along like that, you don't have to worry about it so much. It won't fray as badly, okay? So we want to put these two together, and that's going to be my 2-layer mask. So in order to do that, I have taken my peel and stick tape, and I have literally just run it along the outside edge of my rectangle. If you notice, I am leaving space here on the ends. The reason I'm leaving space is because I am going to have to sew that part a little bit. You don't want the needle going through glue. It will get gunky and you won't be able to move. So we do want to leave some space, and it literally is just take out your tape, okay, run it down the side. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut that with a crafting scissor, never a fabric scissor, because it is glue and it will get gunky. If your scissor starts to get gunky, take a little bit of aluminum foil, run that up and down the blade. It will take off the gunk, it will take off the spurs, and it will also sharpen your scissors slightly. So now you can see my 4 strips of double-sided fabric fuse tape. I literally just peel off the tape part, and then I stick it down. So we're going to peel that off, and we're going to stick it down. Literally peel off, and then stick down, and it will adhere. All right? Now once we do that, we want to form pleats in our fabric. We're going to get a rectangle. We want to form pleats in our rectangle. I'm going to fix that quickly. Once we do that, I do that with an iron. I fold our pleats, and it will look like this, okay? So we now have our pleated rectangle. You always want your pleats in the front facing down, okay? Think of it as you want the virus to go over, you don't want it to get trapped. We are blocking, we are not collecting. So we want the pleats to go down. Once we have that pleated rectangle, we're going to flip it over. We're going to take our elastic. We're going to sew it down on one end, just like you would a button. We're going to sew it down on the other. And then if you're capable, basically take your stitch and just sew it right up the sides. Do that twice on either end, and you get a mask that looks something like this, okay? Now when you're gonna wear your mask, okay, you want the pleats going down. Are my pleats going down? No, they're going up, so it's upside down. So we want our pleats going down, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put these over your ears. You're gonna open up your mask, and it's gonna cover from your nose to your chin. If you notice, 6x9 just about fits my face. I do have a small face, okay? Most people are using a 9x8 rectangle. Joanne's has started cutting some of their rectangles 9x8. I've picked up some of those, okay? And then you can move forward with your mask. Okay, everyone, we have a piece of cotton woven fabric, and let's try to make our mask. I'm gonna show you one of my most favorite things to do. This is a yard of cotton woven. It's a muslin, okay, so it's a lower grade cotton, but it works, all right? I'm gonna measure out 9 inches because my mask, I want it to be 9 inches by 8 inches. I like that size, it covers a little more thoroughly. And this is a good size for most of the average faces out there. So I'm just gonna make up with my scissors, my fabric scissors, a little snip at 9 inches. I have one of these nice fancy mats with a ruler on it. A little snip at 9 inches. Now, instead of me taking a rotary blade, cutting all the way down, instead of me having to go and just cut and try to make it a straight line, the wonderful thing about woven fabric, I've made my little snip, and now I get to take out some aggression, just like this. That will be a straight rip. So I have a nice long batch of 9-inch fabric, nice and even, okay? Now, another little trick, because we want to do as little cutting as possible. Instead of cutting it at 9x8, I'm simply going to go to 18. So I'm going to measure again, get to 18. Okay, I'm going to cut an 18-inch piece right across. Oh, I did mad math. I want 9x16. I'm sorry about that. I've been math tutoring all week. 8 inches times 2 is 16. So 9x16. I could have ripped this one as well, but I like to show off my fancy scissors every once in a while. Now this piece is going to be a beautiful piece to do as a backing on a single mask. This piece, folded in half, 9x8. Less cutting, less sewing, less adhering, okay? Because now I only have to worry about these two sides. In addition, if I don't bother sewing the top, I can now use this as a pocket to add a filter piece in the middle, the way you keep hearing about. No one really cares about finished edges. These are DIY masks. They're okay. So I'm going to use some pre-cut rectangles in the smaller size of 8x6, the ones that I had from Joanne's, to actually show you how to go through step by step and create that filter mask. Now that I've shown you my shortcut, okay? So what we're going to do is, we have our front and our back. We have a front and a back. I prefer the Steelers because we can see the top. We want to have a top, front and back. Well, how do I get those together? If I want to make that just a solid piece, we're going to need some fabric adhesive. I prefer peel and stick fabric fuse tape. This is wonderful. It literally is peel it down, cut it, and then stick it. I have applied it to all 4 edges of my mask, and it literally is as easy as just peel it off. Peel it off to expose the adhesive. Now, when I cut it, I used craft scissors because you don't want to use your fabric scissors to cut it on the glue. It will get gunky. If your scissors do get gunky, all you have to do is take a little piece of aluminum foil and run it up and down the blades. And a little piece of aluminum foil will not only take the gunk off, it'll take the burrs out. It'll help sharpen your blades again. A little bit. Not as good as a sharpener, but it's a really good home remedy to that. In the garbage they go. Take my other side and I just stick them, 2 of them together, making sure that I have the print side up. And you're done. That easy. Why did I say fabric adhesive? Well, fabric adhesive because if not, it will go through and it won't work as well. Also, you should make sure the fabric adhesive, like my fabric fuse, is permanent so that it can go into the wash. So now I have my double-sided rectangle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take an iron and I'm going to iron in pleats into my rectangle. You want the pleats to face down. So I can use my pattern to see, okay, my pleats are going down. You want the pleats to go down and not up because we're blocking, we're not trapping, okay? So once you've done that, you take your elastic, You go and you take a little needle and you sew it onto the top corner, take the other side of it, sew it onto the bottom corner. I would at that point take my needle after the elastic is sewn on and actually take the time to baste up the side to keep the pleats in place, okay? You can do the same thing on the other side with another piece of elastic, and now you have your ears. Now what I've done, because it's faster for me with a sewing machine, is I've actually used binding tape in place of all that glue, okay? And I have just sewn the pleats together. This is what your mask will look like, and then you will open it up and you have your nice mask, okay? So that's how we do a quick rectangle mask. If we had this one, we would basically only have to do is iron in our pleats. Then once you've ironed in your pleats, you can tack them down a little bit with your needle and thread, attach your elastic, baste up the side, and you have a mask. All right, so now we're going to talk about some variations on doing those DIY masks, or if you happen to be someone who has a sewing machine and is a little bit better of a sewer. When I say a little better of a sewer, base stitch. Base stitch, very easy. What am I making my masks out of? Well, I've had quite a few different requests because I am donating to a variety of different places, especially to our hospitals, to doctors, and to medical providers who need certain parameters. So what I'm doing is I have my printed cotton on the outside, okay? And then I have on the inside a white cotton. That's where you saw me tearing cotton muslin. I have a white cotton on the inside. This is so that medical providers know that the inside of the mask is the white side, all right? The other thing is, instead of a filter pocket, which takes a lot of time, I am using t-shirt fabric as a center filter. Flannel has also been recommended, but that's the softest, easiest, and quickest thing for me to work with. So t-shirt material on the inside. We do not want t-shirt material on the outside. If you've seen a DIY video on turning a sock into a DIY mask, where they have a sock as a tube, cut two little handles and go over, very, very simple. I want you to remember that that video is showing a sock, a piece of paper towel, and then a sock. Absorbent, absorbent, absorbent. Our job is not to absorb this virus. Our job is to repel the virus. So if you're going to do the sock version of a mask, please, 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 just get a couple of pieces of cotton, use that as your filter, because at least that will protect you. Sock, filter, sock, okay? Now, a lot of people are talking about nose wires. I happen to be a glasses wearer. A nose wire is very important. What a nose wire will do is a nose wire will help us to shape the mask around the nose and create a better seal at the top of the mask. It will not completely prevent fogging up of the glasses, but it will help. So what I've done is I've created a pocket out of binding tape. You don't need to use binding tape. You can use anything, a strip of t-shirt fabric, a strip of any other cloth to use to make a little pocket at the top to put in wire. Now the wires I've been using are floral wire. This is actually the best one I've found because it's coated, helps it slip in and out of that pocket quicker. This one was donated to me. I want to thank everyone who's donated materials to me. Thank you so much, Oakland. You've really stepped up. This is the best one I found. Prior to that, I was using standard floral wire. Both work. Pipe cleaners also work. Make sure that you take that wire and take it out of your mask before washing it. You want to wash it immediately after each wearing or use. Now, if you notice, mine also have ties. These ties are made from binding tape. You can purchase binding tape. I have actually made my binding tape by hand. It's a more complicated process I'm going to discuss in another clip, okay? I have left them quite long because these masks are to be tied around the head rather than tied around the ear. This is too wide to go around the ear and stay, all right? But you can have the nose on the back. That also helps people know where the top is and also helps you with the direction of your pleats. As you can see, this one is 9 by 8. It is much wider and covers the face better. Okay, I have one more. Shop what you got. Little clue hint to tell everyone about. I love this idea. If you cannot find elastic to tie these around your ears or around the head, there's a really, really great resource you can use to make what we call a yarn or a tie yarn. It is t-shirt tie yarn. Literally, people, cut up your t-shirt into a strip. You can make a 6.5, 7-inch strip for the ear loop, or you can make a really long strip and then tie it around your head. Okay, but t-shirt material, soft and strong and washable. And all you have to do is cut 1 inch to 1.5 inch strip, and you're all set.
We have been talking about using a 9x6 rectangle for your patterns. I find that 9x7 or 9x8 is better for most standard faces. If you have a gentleman's face, a larger face, or someone with a beard, 10.5 by 7, 8, or 9 is actually better. If you have someone with a beard, you want to do 10.5 by 9 so it covers the latter half of the beard. I also want to show you how this peel and stick actually works. All right, so you literally are just running the tape across your fabric. You want to press it down so that the glue on the one side actually adheres to the fabric. Once it does, it is as simple as just peeling it. And you're going to see right now the glue has not adhered to the fabric. So I need to press it one more time. I'm going to try from this end. And here it has adhered. So as I pull it, you're going to see a shiny bit here. That is my glue. And it is directly onto my fabric, turning this into a sort of badge or patch. You can see I'm having a little difficulty with it. It's not always perfect. So now that I have my glue along here, I'm going to take that, glue it down, just press slightly, and that has now sealed the two pieces of fabric together. Okay, so that takes the place of having to sew. Lastly, I want to show you how to form pleats. Forming pleats is a matter of simply folding. I did mention that we want them going down. The way I do them is I do the first pleat facing down. I then iron this fabric that will keep the pleat in place. Once I do that first pleat, I turn my fabric over. Again, I just pinch it, fold it. I have my second pleat. I would iron that down. That would flatten it, and that will give me my pleated rectangle like that. Okay, so this is post ironing. You can see pre-ironing, it's not going to stay. So once it's ironed down, you then take your needle and thread, you tack this pleat, and then you run a seam along the sides, and you have your completed mask.
Well, my friends, I hope you found this a little bit more helpful instead of daunting or confusing. I really just wanted to encourage you to use what you have, be creative, make sure that you have some sort of facial barrier as you go out and about to do things that are essential, and be safe and take care. I do want to give a shout out to all the Oakland moms and all the local residents who have donated materials to me so that I can keep on making masks for all those first responders and frontline people who need them. So thank you very much, Oakland, and be safe, stay home, and enjoy.
Well, thank you, Mike and Marisol, for making those videos about how to make masks and make sure we're taking off masks and any gloves that we might be wearing appropriately. So we thank you for that and for the time that you took to make those videos. Now we're going to finish our series on how to best organize your closet, which we started in our first episode, and now we're going to have part 2 right now.
Hey everyone, I'm here to talk to you about how to edit your closet. This is the second part of my successful closet editing series. So I'm glad you're here and I hope to teach you as much as I can. So one of the things that you want to have is there's some tools you should have when you're editing your closet. One of them is a garment rack. These are very lightweight garment rack. They're very helpful when you're editing your closet because you can put the things you want to keep on there or you can put the things you're unsure of on there. And there are tools that you can actually keep. I keep my garment rack in my bedroom, so I'll put things on there that I'm going to wear for the week. Another thing you should have are garbage bags. These are just the regular garbage bags, they're gallon size ones, the 10-gallon size ones that I use for my garbage, and that way you can put the things that you're going to be donating or consigning in there. You want to create different zones as you're editing your closet. So I'm looking at the ground because I'm literally putting them into piles. So the piles that I recommend is the keep pile. The keep pile you can pretty much actually just put back in your closet, depends on how you want to do it. The donate pile, the consignment pile, the alterations pile, and the maybe pile. These are the 5 categories I recommend when going through your edit. When you do the edit, it's really important. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they take everything out and they put it on their bed. That is overwhelming. You should not do that. What you should do instead is focus on one category at a time. Which leads me to my next point, which is how much time should you actually spend on editing your closet? This is totally dependent on you. For some of you, it may just be an hour a night, you know, like after you're done work, you know, during this COVID-19, just give yourself an hour every day, like after dinner, and edit your closet. Or you can do it on a Saturday or Sunday and spend a couple hours. I don't recommend that you spend more than 3 hours editing your closet, because you have to make some critical decisions when you're editing your closet, and your clothes are such an emotional thing because you have to try them on, you have to make sure they fit. So because it's such an emotional piece, I highly recommend you don't spend more than 3 hours. Another thing you should do is put on some music. Music is great. Music gets you into the mood, right? So put on whatever jam you like, whatever is going to get you excited about editing your closet. And then I want to talk to you guys about these hangers. I know I talked to you about them in the last video, but I want to go over them again because I have a few more. So these are the 4 types of hangers that I recommend. One is the slim hanger. That's just great for shirts. The next one is this hanger here, which is again the slim hanger, but it has the clips to hang your pants up. These wooden hangers, which are great for blazers and sport coats, things that are heavy like a leather jacket. And then finally, your pant hangers. These you can hang up for your pants to maximize your space. Then we'll talk about how we're going to actually do the edit, like how do we figure out what to do. So you start with one category at a time. I tend to start with pants because they're a really hard category, but if it's too emotional for you, if you're like, if I start with my pants, I'll never get to the rest of my closet, then don't start with pants. Start with tops or start with dresses. You start with what you feel comfortable in. When you're going through and editing your closet, it's really important that you touch everything, right? Marie Kondo talked to us about that. You want to make sure that you touch everything because you want to make sure that every item that goes back into your closet is worth it, right? It should deserve a space in your closet. It should not be in there because you have nothing else to wear, right? So that shouldn't be a reason. When you're going in and actually editing, you want to pull it out. You want to try it on. In tops, not so much. Pants, definitely. Skirts, you want to try it on. But again, if you're not sure if it's going to fit you, try it on. Make sure that it fits you and it flatters you. Make sure you'll know right away. That's the next tool you need to have in your closet, is the mirror when you're doing the closet editing. You want to put it on. So like this top, I would put on with a pair of jeans, the jeans that I'm wearing right now, and make sure that it fits and flatters me and that I like it. Right away, some pieces are going to have holes in them. They're going to have stains in them. They're going to be like, oh my God, this is so old. I'm never going to wear this. Those can immediately go into the donation pile. But there are other things that are going to be what I call the maybes, right? So the maybes, you might want to be like, like this is kind of a maybe for me. I still have it in here. It kind of makes me look, it's very bohemian, which is not exactly my style. Sometimes I don't know about it. So like, you know, I have to think about, am I actually going to wear it? So I'll put it, I may hang it separately in my closet, or a great tool is to actually hang it the other way, like this. So they hang it the opposite way, then go through the season, see if you wear it. If you don't end up wearing it that season, that's a way to know that that maybe should get donated. And then we did talk about the categories, right? And we talked about so you want to start with one category at a time. Now, how do you decide, should I keep something, right? So let me grab, this is like an example, right? Should I keep this? Look at it. Have you worn it in the last year or two, right? 2 years is the max I would go. If you have not worn it in the last 2 years, you definitely want to get rid of it. The only exceptions to this would be like your wedding gown, things that are with special occasion, things that that you spent a lot of money on that you may end up consigning, right? Other than that, it should really be in the last 2 years. I actually would recommend in the last year, but I know some of us are going through weight losses. So if we think that, you know, maybe 2 years ago we had, you know, gained some weight, so maybe we'll keep that item. But then the next year, if you don't wear it when you're doing the edit, you have to get rid of it, right? So that's another way to look at it. Another question to ask yourself is, do I feel confident in this? You want to feel good in your clothes. If you don't feel confident, get rid of it. Because then you're going to replace it with something that does make you feel confident. You also want to ask yourself, is it versatile? Can I come up with a couple outfits from what I already own of this? A lot of times if something is so specific, you're like, it doesn't make sense to keep it, right? Or if it's just like a weird shape. What ends up happening with the things that we really aren't sure of, we try on, and then you can see when you look in the mirror, you're like, oh my God, this looks horrible on me. Or why did I buy this? It's so asymmetrical. Another thing you want to look for is quality. Quality is really important. Make sure that the item still has, is a good quality piece. You do not have to buy really expensive things, but you want to keep things in your closet that will last you for a couple of years. And that, again, the ones with the holes, with the stains are things that you should definitely get rid of. So those are some of the questions you want to ask yourself. You do, again, want to touch everything. I want to speak to you a little bit about bringing you joy. This is the one thing where I a little bit differentiate from Marie Kondo. Clothes should bring us joy. You should not have a closet full of clothes that do not bring you joy. Most of it should bring you joy. But there's still things in there that you have to keep. Your ski clothes may not bring you joy. Currently, my workout clothes are not bringing me joy. I do want to buy new pieces that bring me joy, but they're functional things. So we have to keep them, right? So for the most part, most of the items should bring you joy, but there will be some things that are for utility purposes. So those are sort of the ways that you should organize your closet. And I told you already about the categories. And I hope you enjoyed these videos, and let me know if you want me to do more. Thank you.
All right, so now our closets should be fully organized, and we should have a plan on what to do about that. So let's go back. I mean, we talked with Liz Lorenti earlier in the program, but now let's see her make her home-style dish that she was telling us about from her Cuban roots. So now let's head on over and see what's going on in the Lorenti kitchen.
Okay, I'm browning about 1 pound of ground beef. It's 85% lean. I didn't put any cooking oil or spray just because it has enough fat in it so that it can cook without any of that. And I'm going to just stir it around just to get it mostly brown before I add other things. And I have this on a little over medium heat, not quite high heat, so somewhere between medium and high. And then I'm going to add, after I get this brown enough, I'm going to add garlic powder and adobo, and also a little bit of salt. You could salt to taste. Now the nice thing about ground beef is that it is a complement to all kinds of dishes. You can have it over rice, you can have it over pasta, you can make lasagna with it, you can have tacos. You can do whatever you want, really make any kind of, all kinds of different dishes with it. So you can make a nice big batch and then use it for different things throughout the week. And it's easy, you really can't go wrong with ground beef. Just stir it around, make sure that it all cooks evenly. Okay, this is nice and brown now. We're going to put a little bit of, tell you exactly how much. I'm going to put about 1/8, that's half of 1/4 of a cup of teriyaki sauce. And if you really like teriyaki sauce, you could put a little bit more. And then we're going to put some sweet and sour duck sauce. And I'm going to again use 1/4 measuring cup, so 1/4 cup of duck sauce, and then that will be the base for your sweet and sour sauce. Mix this. Okay, now we're going to put some garlic powder. That's going to be about 1/2 teaspoon. And then we're going to take the adobo. And that's going to be also about 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to put just a little bit of salt. Again, this is to taste. I don't like my food very salty, but some people really like to almost taste the salt, so it's up to you. I'm going to stir it again, make sure everything gets an even distribution of the condiments. And again, you want to make sure it's all brown because you don't want undercooked red meat. And it's easy to just to see it. So, okay. And then the last thing we add is the onions. This is about 1/4 of an onion, of a medium onion, and just a little less than 1/2 of a green pepper. Again, a medium size green pepper. And the reason I put that in last is because they quickly get sauteed. So you don't want to put it in too early. And we can cover this just for a few minutes and then just check it. Maybe lower the heat a little bit since the meat is basically done and we don't want it to burn, so you could lower it to low heat. Okay, let's see. We're gonna check, and this looks and smells wonderful. So now we have our translucent onions and our tender green pepper. And if you can see it, it just looks really nice, colorful dish too. I'm going to turn this off. And we're going to taste it, of course. Here we go. Terrific, even by itself. So I hope you enjoy this dish, which is called actually picadillo, and this is made in the style of Spain, Cuba. Many of these countries use this very flavorful ground beef dish, and like I said, it's so good you can even eat it by itself, but it's definitely a wonderful enhancement to rice and pasta, lasagna, you name it, tacos. It's just great.
Well, thanks again for watching another episode of This Week in Oakland. This was episode 2, so if you happen to not see episode 1, catch it either another time here on Oakland TV or check it out on our Borough YouTube page at Oakland Borough. I hope that you've been enjoying these programs as much as we've enjoyed making them, and I do want to make sure I appropriately acknowledge everyone who's submitted content for this program, and all of you, of course, out there who have been enjoying and watching it. We hope that this has been something that's brought a smile to your face, that you've learned something new, seen something from a different perspective, and we're trying to be more uplifting and encouraging, and share some more informational things during this very stressful and anxious-filled time for a lot of people. Now, one thing that we do want to make sure, we are the Communications Commission, we want to make sure that you are remaining in communique with all the different things that are going on. So, first off, you should be receiving the Borough newsletter, which comes out once a month through email. If you don't receive the Borough newsletter, we highly recommend that you sign up, and you can do that by going to the Borough website at www.oakland-nj.org and going to the Communications Commission webpage that's on there. There will be a nice banner at the top that'll tell you how to subscribe to the newsletter. And once a month, on the first day of the month, you'll receive an email letting you know all the things that are going on in town, some of the latest news, updates, some stories written by local residents, including Liz Lorenti, who you saw earlier. And we hope that that's a nice way to kind of keep in touch with what's going on in the town. In addition, as you probably know, the mayor has been sending out reverse 911 calls. So she'll give a call most weekdays and kind of just let everyone in the town know what's been going on during this period. The information you need to know, any rules that have changed. So I know a lot of you out there probably already get that, but if you don't, you should also sign up for that. So in order to do that, you can also go to the Borough webpage for that, oakland-nj.org, and there's going to be a button on there that says Swift Reach 911. And from there, it'll tell you the information that it needs so that we can make sure that you get the mayor's alerts on your cell phone, either a text, a phone call, and then it's also used for other things, not just during this current coronavirus period. If there really is another type of emergency that's going on in town, that's another effective way for you to receive communication from the borough. So I thank you again for watching us here on Oakland TV. We hope that you've enjoyed This Week in Oakland, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another program, episode 3 of This Week in Oakland. Signing off, Ryan Schwertfeger.